collect his insurance and tried to use the fire as a cover-up.
Yeah, I thought of that, too. But Doc Wyman found absolutely no sign of injury nor any poison in his system. What's more, Dollar, he wasn't killed before the fire because there were signs of smoke in the lungs. And I mean plenty.
Of course, Pete.
Yeah? Well, what is it, Dollar?
Well, I mean, if somebody smothered him, with a pillow or something, that would leave no marks.
Before the fire?
Yeah.
Well, did you miss my point? Then there wouldn't have been smoke in the lungs.
Oh, wait a minute. He would have passed out before he stopped breathing entirely, wouldn't he?
Yeah, possibly.
In other words, a killer could have smothered him just enough to make him unconscious, then started the fire, let him get his lungs full, and, well, then the fire would have finished the job.
Aren't you reaching a little bit, Dollar?
Maybe so, maybe no.
Well, I mean, unless you can somehow turn up some evidence that he was murdered.
No, it's just a hunch, but a potent one.
Well, I know that neither Doc Wyman nor I could find anything to indicate it, and believe me, Dollar, I tried. I mean, I have just as suspicious a mind as you have.
Okay, Pete.
So, you want to look at the autopsy report? I'm sure Doc wouldn't mind. You want me to ask him?
No, don't bother.
But why? Well, I mean, why this powerful hunch?
Oh, because of a man I chased halfway across the country a couple of years ago, who now lives in Oregon.
I don't get it.
He is the beneficiary of Ike's policy.
I still don't get it.
I think maybe I better fly on out there and pay him a visit. First, though, I drove around to Jerry Deek's pool room. Just why, I'm not sure now that I stop to think about it. But you know something? It was Jerry Deeks who convinced me beyond the shadow of a doubt that my hunch was right. 100%.
What he done for a living, Mr. Dollar?
Yes, Mr. Deeks.
Anything Ike Perlinger made, he made right here, sir. Yes, sir.
You mean with a pool cue?
One of the steadiest shots I ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Most consistent, too. Yes, sir.
In spite of the way he liked his liquor?
Ike, liquor never would touch it.
You sure of that?
No, sir. Never touched it, sir, and I know.
Well, how do you know?
Well, I tried to give him some once, like a sort of present for the way that he's brought a lot of customers in here. Said no, he did. Said such stuff was nothing but poison.
Thank you, Mr. Deeks. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. For what?
You may not know it, but you've said one word to me, loud and clear.
Now, what's that, sir?
Murder.
It's a welcome change sometimes to have neighbors drop in unexpectedly for a visit. Weekdays here on the CBS Radio Network, we have a group of friendly folks who like to drop in on you, cheer your day along, and never once get in the way. They're Arthur Godfrey, Art Linkletter, Gary Moore, Bing Crosby, and Rosemary Clooney, CBS Radio's daytime stars. Every weekday, they furnish fun and frolic mixed with music at this lilting location on your radio dial. Tune in the daytime stars. They're good company.
Although it was now quite late. Item 6 is 10 cents for a phone call to Jack Price at his home.
What? You still out and circulating around?
I sure am, Jackson.
Why don't you get some sleep? Hey, what's up?
As soon as I can, I'm heading out to Eugene, Oregon.
To check up on that beneficiary?
Yep, among other things.
What do you mean, other things?
In the first place, I'm sure now that we have a murder case on our hands.
Ike was murdered then?
Oh, I didn't say that.
What do you mean?
Just got me a wild idea, Jackson. You remember that old saying, Ike and Mike, they look alike?
Well, sure, but...
Well, just
what?
give that a thought while you're driving over to your office to meet me. later, in Jack's office, I took another look at Ike Pellinger's policy. I also went over the original application for it, and particularly the medical report and the x-rays.
Well?
Okay, Jackson. Now, if you don't mind, I'll use this phone.
Sure, go ahead, Johnny. Help yourself. But you still haven't told me what you meant by the Ike and Mike bit.
Just a hunch. But if it's a right one, there's a lot more to this case than meets the eye.
Or like what, for instance?
Like the possibility, for instance. Hello?
Hello?
Johnny Dollar, Pete.
Oh, what? Don't tell me you got on out there to Oregon already.
No, but listen, I'll call you from there sometime in the morning. In the meantime...
And you still think it was murder, huh?
Now I'm sure of it. You found some bottles in the remains of that fire, and that made you think Ike had got drunk and made that typical mistake of setting off his mattress with a lighted cigarette.
Well, I still think that's what happened.
In spite of the fact he never touched the stuff?
Yes, sir, in spite of the... What did you say?
You heard me. Listen, I've just looked over the x-rays on Ike Pellinger. First thing in the morning, at the crack of dawn, get your Doc Wyman to do a further autopsy on that stiff.
A further?
Yes. Have him look for marks from an old fracture of the first metatarsal on the right foot.
Oh, why?
If he doesn't find any, then you get busy and phone a complete description of Ike to the Missing Persons Bureau up in San Antonio. That's where Ike lived one time before he came here.
You think they might be looking for him?
For him? No.
Then I don't get it.
But if that description ties in with somebody who is missing from up there... listen, Pete.
Yeah?
If it doesn't, then you'll have to try every other town in Texas if necessary until somebody does recognize that description. And if the name turns out to be Mike somebody or other...
I still don't get it.
Just do it, Pete. Call Missing Persons Bureau until you get a positive reaction to that description. I'll phone you tomorrow from Eugene, Oregon. All right, now, Jack. I got to get me on out to the airport and see what kind of connections I can make. The connections I could make were anything but good. Item 7 is $199.75, and my routing took me to Houston, to Los Angeles, to Portland, and then finally Eugene. Because of the stopover at every point, it was well into the next morning by the time I got there. Item 8, $12.50 for a cab to Lou Livercomb's place off Deming Road, out beyond the Fern Ridge Reservoir. It was the kind of modest, well-kept sort of home you'd expect a retired country gentleman to live in, rather than a crook. The reason for that high taxi charge is because I asked the cabbie to wait for me. Remember that. As for Livercombe, he was the same suave, slippery old character I'd known 2 years before.
Yes, I heard from an old contact of mine that Ike Pellinger died down there in Corpus Christi. Too bad, darling. He was an old friend of mine.
Yes, so I understand.
As a matter of fact, he made me the beneficiary of his insurance. I've already mailed in a claim.
Why did he name you, Livercombe?
Why not? We used to work together, Ike and I.
You still working together?
Don't be ridiculous, Dollar. How could we be if he's dead?
Tell me, where have you been the past couple of days?
Right here. I haven't gone out beyond the mailbox for nearly a week.
Mm-hmm. Can you prove that?
Yes, I can prove it. Ask my next-door neighbor, old Morgan. I've seen and talked with him 2 or 3 times every day. And Mrs. Teller on the other side. I helped her gather in some wood yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning?
Yes. Yesterday afternoon, she brought me over an apple pie she'd made.
All of which makes a nicely set-up alibi for you, doesn't it?
Now, look here, Dollar. I don't know what you're getting at, but if you think you can tie me in with Pellinger's getting knocked off...
Did I say that?
Didn't you learn a couple of years ago that when you try to pin something on me, all you're going to do is fall flat on your face?
Suppose we see. Mind if I use your phone? Well?
Go ahead.
Thanks. The call was to Pete Frawley at police headquarters back in Corpus Christi. And the result of Dr. Wyman's further autopsy and Pete's call to San Antonio?
Dollar, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, Pete.
No broken bone in the foot of that stiff, so your hunch was right. It wasn't Ike Pellinger at all. It was somebody who was a dead ringer for him.
Taken there, planted there by Ike?
Well, that we can't be sure of. Anyway, not yet.
I'm sure of it.
But now listen. Like you suggested, I called the MPB in San Antone. Now, the missing man on their list fitted Ike's description perfectly. His name was Mike Ringler. Though how you figured that one, I'll never know.
All right, now do you see what it means, Pete?
No, you tell me.
When Ike found that he had a double there in San Antonio, it gave him an idea. So he moved down to Corpus to carry it out.
What was it?
He got in touch with and made a deal with his old colleague in crime, Lou Livercombe, out here in Eugene. If Lou would pay the premium on a nice hunk of insurance, then when he supposedly died, they could split it. In this case, with double indemnity, a total of $50,000.
Well, I'm a son of a gun.
It's an old one, but it's worked more than once.
Now, wait. We still have to round up Ike Prellinger.
Don't give that a second thought, Pete. I'll simply make the most of Lou's hospitality here in his home for a while.
You'll what?
For just as long as necessary.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Then when Ike arrives to pick up his cut of the insurance money, he thinks, well, Pete, I'll be right here and ready and waiting.
Okay, buddy. Hang it up. Hang it up, I said.
Johnny?
You hear me? You see this?
I'll, talk to you later, Pete. Well, Ike Prellinger,
That's right. Who are you? Who is he, Lou?
Don't you know him? That's Johnny Dollar, the insurance detective.
Oh, it is, huh? Well, Dollar, you won't be talking to anybody. Not later, not any time. You see this?
Haven't you made enough mistakes already, Ike?
Plug him, Ike. Let him have it.
All right, Lou. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Now, listen, mister.
Cabby!
Hey, out of my way.
Hey, what's going on?
Look out, Cabby. Watch him.
Oh, no, you do.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, Ike.
And now you, Lou.
Holy mother. Wow.
Thanks, Cabby, for barging in the door that way and throwing him off balance.
Wowee. What you done to him? Say, what goes anyhow?
Plenty. I'll tell you all about it while we drive these babies into police headquarters. Yep. It was good hunting. Not only because Ike will have to pay for the murder of Mike Ringler, but more important to me, because Lou Livercombe is finally ending up where he belongs. Behind bars. Expense account total? Oh, why don't you figure it up, Jackson? And don't forget my commission on the insurance that won't have to be paid out. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
And now here is our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, only the shadow of a doubt locks up the case for me. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is written by Jack Johnstone. Produced and directed by Bruno Zerato, Jr. Music supervision by Ethel Huber. Johnny Dollar is played by Mandel Kramer. Also featured in our cast were William Redfield as Pete Frawley, Maurice Tarplin as Jack Price, Reynold Osborne as Louis Livercombe, Lawson Zerby as Deeks, Ralph Bell as Ike Prellinger, and Bill Lipton as the cab driver. Be sure to join us next week, same time, same station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Bill Gillian speaking. If someone you know has had an accident or an operation, the chances are he was given blood or blood plasma to prevent shock or to replace lost blood. Or perhaps one of your children came down with the measles and was given a shot of gamma globulin. That required blood for its manufacture. Whenever emergency arises in accidents, operations, or disasters, blood is urgently needed. And there's no time to get it after the emergency arises. It must be there, always ready for immediate use. The agency that collects the blood for our military and civilian hospitals and keeps blood banks all over the country well stocked is the Red Cross. This is only one of the countless and valuable services performed by this wonderful organization. One of the ways in which you can help the Red Cross is by giving blood regularly. There are many other ways you can help, too, doing various kinds of other useful volunteer jobs. Right now, during...
Okay, that'll do it for now. It's the end of the show. I'll probably be back Wednesday night. Until then, take it easy. I'm going to turn the black button red and put this baby in the can.